Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Naga Chetty and Charlie State.
Our headlines today. Plans for a new month-long national lockdown across England as Boris Johnson considers issuing another stay-at-home message within days.
Comes after new scientific advice predicts more than 4,000 people could die each day unless tighter restrictions are brought in.
Rescue teams search for survivors after a powerful earthquake hits Turkey and Greece. The devastation leaves at least 26 people dead.
Just 3 days to go. Donald Trump and Joe Biden campaign in the American Midwest, where polls suggest several states could go either way.
Good morning. The heart and soul of the team. Just one of the many tributes flooding in for Nobby Stiles. The England World Cup winner has died at the age of 78. Former teammate Sir Geoff Hurst said he would be sorely missed.
So Lenny Henry tells us more diversity is needed in literature and why he enjoys writing for children.
I love sitting in my pants writing. That's my favourite thing. And I think that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 years.
And it may have been named by the Irish Weather Service for the impacts there, but Storm Aegean could cause travel and weather disruption here today. I'll have all the details right here on Breakfast.
Good morning, it's Saturday, October the 31st. Our top story, a new nationwide lockdown for England is being considered by ministers and could be announced within days.
The rethink away from the regional tiered system comes as government documents seen by the BBC suggest the UK is on course for significantly more deaths than during the first wave of the pandemic. Scientists are warning the death toll could reach 4,000 a day. Downing Street says a final decision is yet to be taken. It's thought schools and universities would stay open. Boris Johnson is now considering issuing a stay-at-home message as early as Monday. Our political correspondent Jessica Parker has this report.
To stay at home, protect our NHS and save lives.
Remember back in the spring? Stay at home was the message. And Boris Johnson's now understood to be considering bringing in that instruction for England again. However, it wouldn't be the same overall. This time, schools, colleges and universities would stay open. Official government documents seen by the BBC suggest the country is on course for a significantly higher death toll in the second wave of COVID than the first, unless there are further restrictions. That as cases continue to rise.
We could have got away with a shorter circuit breaker if it had been done earlier, but now I think the numbers are accelerating so fast that there is nothing left in the armament, in the armoury anymore, except a really quite a serious lockdown. But please, if we're going to do that, let's get the find, test, trace, isolate and support system fixed during that lockdown.
Downing Street's understood to be looking at a month-long form of lockdown in the hope restrictions could be eased in time for Christmas.
We've been saying, and we've been saying it for about 3 or 4 weeks, that it's really important the government moves quickly and does tough lockdowns as quickly as possible, because otherwise the NHS won't have the capacity it needs.
Ministers have been defending tiered, regional restrictions, targeting measures in the worst affected areas. Labour has called for a short lockdown for England to get the virus under control. Last night, government sources said that the country was at a crunch point, although no final decisions had been made. But it seems increasingly likely that the Prime Minister could take the national action that he was so desperate to avoid. Jessica Parker, BBC News.
Well, let's speak now to our political correspondent Helen Catt, who's in our London newsroom. So, Helen, there's a lot this morning for people to digest, isn't there? One is this thought that within days an announcement could be coming from Boris Johnson. The other is upon what evidence?
Absolutely, and this would mark a significant shift from the position that the government has been giving for the last few weeks, this idea of a regional lockdown moving to this idea of something more national. That is certainly a shift, and the first people that he's going to have to bring on board with that, of course, are his own MPs, and we've seen increasing resistance among Conservative MPs over recent weeks to some of those measures like the 10 p.m. curfew, like the rule of 6, who haven't been convinced that necessarily the science is there. Now, ultimately, I think that if Boris Johnson can convince them that the data is there, that this move is necessary, they will come on board. But I think there will be a sense of frustration at this feeling that they are sort of constantly being marched up one hill only for the government to change course. Downing Street, of course, would say that is because the situation is evolving, but this would mark a very significant shift. And Boris Johnson, I think, is going to have to work quite hard this weekend at party management first and then explaining this change to the country.
And Helen, just explain a little more about this document seen by the BBC, which is the scientific evidence we understand the Prime Minister has seen, which paints, to be honest, quite a bleak picture of the prospects in the next month or so.
Yeah, this is a document that was circulated among members of the government's SAGE committee, but it comes from another sort of group of scientists. And in it says that all models suggest a significantly higher peak than those estimated at any point in the current reasonable worst-case scenario. It says that median peak infections are projected to be 50 to 150% greater than those in the first wave. So this is what has sparked this shift in policy. And it's been significant, as we said, circulated around the scientists, and that's what's caused this shift.
Helen, for the moment, thank you.
So I can imagine a lot of people this morning, we've been talking a lot, Charlie, haven't we, explaining the three tiers over the last few weeks, and lots of people have been talking about whether a national lockdown or an England-wide lockdown would come into place. We're going to be talking to lots of people about that this morning, so get your questions in. We'll be talking to Professor Callum Semple, who's Professor of Outbreak Medicine at the University of Liverpool. We'll be talking to the Middlesbrough Mayor, Andy Preston, see how it may affect some of the regions that have already been put into Tier 3. So if you have any questions about what this lockdown, when it is announced, could look like, get in touch in the usual way.
Now, a fifth of all mortgage holders are worried about being able to make their payments in the next 3 months.
Now, the finding comes from a report released by the anti-poverty charity, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation. Mortgage payment holidays end today, and the report warns that about 750,000 households who expect their incomes to drop in the next month will not be able to access any government housing support.
Senior Labour MPs on the left of the party have called for unity and support for ex-leader Jeremy Corbyn after he was suspended from the party. Former Shadow Cabinet Ministers Diane Abbott, John McDonnell took part in an online rally appealing for Mr Corbyn to be reinstated. He was suspended on Thursday after a report into anti-Semitism within the party revealed equality law was broken under his leadership.
Rescue teams in the Turkish city of Izmir have spent the night digging through concrete blocks looking for survivors of the earthquake which struck there yesterday.
At least 26 people are now understood to have died, including 2 on the nearby Greek island of Samos. Olga Gurn has this report.
Amateur video captured the awful power of the quake. This multi-storey building disintegrated into dust. On the streets of Izmir, there was fear and panic.
I saw people crying, trying to reach out to their loved ones. Everyone was shocked, and it was a very chaotic moment.
About 20 buildings were brought down. The quake was felt as far away as Istanbul and Athens. Turkey is crisscrossed by active fault lines, the danger always lying beneath. Rescuers picked their way carefully through the rubble, here finding a survivor and gently cradling his head. The man was brought out alive, like dozens of others. Izmir bore the brunt of this earthquake, but 2 teenagers died in the Greek islands. And in the midst of loss, there's been a rare display of solidarity between 2 nations that are deeply divided. This is a glimpse of one mother's terror today. Selen Atesh sprints to the next room for her only child, 18-month-old Ilhan, asleep in his cot. She gets him away to safety. But danger also came surging from the Aegean, sea levels rising because of a mini tsunami, and there have been about 100 aftershocks. In Turkey, there is grief and shock, and the gnawing fear of when the next big one is coming. Orla Gearan, BBC News, Istanbul.
President Donald Trump and his Democratic rival Joe Biden have been campaigning in the American Midwest, which is home to some of the most closely contested states in the US election.
Just 3 days to go. Both candidates are trying to gain support in a last-ditch effort to win over undecided voters. Let's talk to our North America correspondent, Peter Bowes, now joins us from LA. Peter, good to see you. So these Midwestern states, how crucial are they? Because we can't stress enough, can we, how close this could be, despite the fact that thousands, millions have already cast their postal votes.
Yes, good morning to you. In fact, 85 million Americans across the country have already voted, which is exceeding all previous records. And of course, this election very different to anything that's gone before because of the coronavirus and the fact that people are very keen in some cases to get out and maybe cast their postal ballot or indeed go to a polling station when it's much quieter a few days before election day itself. So lots of variables that we really can't assess and determine how they're going to affect the result on the day. But those Midwestern states that you mentioned, those are the states, those areas that essentially won Donald Trump the last election against Hillary Clinton. He just managed to clinch with a small majority in some cases. So he has to win those states back. But it isn't just in the Midwest, it's across the country that the president is battling. A key state, of course, which we've talked about many times before, is Florida. It could go either way. Donald Trump really needs to win Florida. He'll be back there several times over the weekend, which is a sign of how important he sees that particular state. Even some of the other southern states like Georgia, there's a question mark over Georgia as to whether Republicans can hang on there. Joe Biden is making ground. So at this very late stage, just 3-4 days to go, it's everything to play for.
I've come to realise as a grandson of a Holocaust survivor that our stories bear witness to some painful truths, but they're also full of light, of truth, and of resilience.
Thank you for being with me today.
My Family, the Holocaust and Me with Robert Rinder on BBC One and iPlayer.
6:15 is the time. Let's take a look at the papers. National lockdown looms. So that's the headline for The Times. The paper says Boris Johnson is considering imposing nationwide restrictions from next week, following concerns that surging cases could overwhelm the NHS.
He had a heart even bigger than the gap in his teeth. That's Gary Lineker's tribute to footballer Nobby Stiles, who's died. He leads the front of the Daily Mirror with a picture of the World Cup winner dominating the page.
Actor Sophia Loren is on the front page of The Telegraph following her return to the silver screen after more than a decade. The 86-year-old is in a new film directed by her son and says she could work 20 hours a day.
Of course, all eyes on the US election, just 3 days to go. And online, the Miami Herald carries a photograph of postal workers sorting carts of absentee ballots in the swing state of Florida. Very important votes there being cast. More than 85 million Americans have already cast their vote ahead of Tuesday's presidential election.
You got some stuff on the inside? Mine's all about size.
Go on. It's the wave. I did see the picture of the wave.
Well, yeah, I've got two things that are big. So this is a monster wave. This is Andrew Cotton. Used to work as a plumber, and now he's a professional surfer from Devon. He's 42. He was filmed this week at Nazaré on Portugal's Silver Coast. And this wave, let me see, he reckons it's the fastest he's ever ridden a wave. 74 kilometres per hour, 46 miles per hour. Is what he's recorded before. But he reckons when he was riding this wave, he was riding it up to 80 kilometres
It's so
an hour.
terrifying. You see in that picture this tiny person and the bulk of water
huge.
looming behind.
And my other big thing to bring you is a giant spider. It was extinct. I suppose I should have warned people
it's
if
extinct,
you have...
right? It doesn't exist.
Well,
does it exist?
Well, it does. It was thought to be extinct in the UK for 27 years, and it's been rediscovered at an army training centre. It's the great fox spider. It's on a wildlife red list as critically endangered, last seen in 1993. Anyway, Mike Waite, who's an arachnid expert from Surrey Wildlife Trust, has found it. So
it's
it's
got a
around.
smiley
It's
face
beautiful.
on it,
I think it's absolutely. They grow up to 2 inches in diameter. They're ground-dwelling and nocturnal.
You know that I keep a very sharp eye on fashion trends. It's very much my thing. And A lot of people would be interested in this one, which is that here's the thing. Going into the next season, what's the next season? What is it? Autumn?
No, we've already done autumn.
Oh,
winter.
is
The
this
next
looking?
season will
This
be
is probably looking at spring
summer.
next year. If you're thinking about it already, go. I think it's probably gentlemen as well. I don't know. Blazers and a baseball cap. Baseball cap and blazers. That's the thing to go for. By all account, one of the outfits here is. It's called a Ladies Who Lunch lemon yellow boucle jacket with gold buttons, paired with distressed blue jeans, and then the baseball cap on the top is the.
Can I
that's
just say?
the thing, okay?
Can I just say, right? Our cameraman and our floor manager are literally crying with laughter at you describing this. And this being what you think is to discuss this morning. In terms of baseball, the thing with baseball caps, there is this debate in my head, anyway, of how a baseball cap should fit, because you have the ones that are really big, perhaps to fit or house bigger hair, and then ones that are really tight. I personally would go for a smaller baseball cap. I don't know what you'd go for.
Well, I know that age should have no part in what fashion you go for, but I think there is a certain age where a baseball cap. Do you know what I mean? I just do think that.
What age would you
No,
get?
I'm literally not going to put an age on it. I'm just putting that thought out there because sometimes I just think, no.
Loads of people love wearing them.
Good.
Publicly.
And they'll be bang on fashion. Pop a blazer on, lemon yellow, very good. Take note.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.